اليوم راح نتحكي عن أكبر معرض بورد جيمز بالعالم كله. حياكم الله متابعينا في شانل ديوانية نايت، معاكم محدثكم ابو عزوز من قلب الحدث. احنا اليوم في سبيل ميسه في اسن في المانيا، وسبيل ميسه بالالماني يعني معرض الالعاب. طبعا المعرض هذا مشهور على مستوى العالم انه هو احسن واحلى واكبر معرض بورد جيمز بالدنيا كلها. المعرض هذا بلش في سنه 1983، شارك فيه مئات ومئات الشركات والببلشرز والاستديوز والمصممين الالعاب والمحلات المشهوره على مستوى العالم كله، سواء كانت لوكال بالمانيا او باوروبا او برا اوروبا. طبعا في سبيل ميسه الذيم الغالب عندنا هو الالعاب المشهوره باليورو جيمز او الجيرمان جيمز. الالمان اخترعوها بالسابق، والحين صار عندنا وايد مصممين اوروبيين وكذلك غير الاوروبيين يسوون العاب يكون الطابع اللي فيها ذكاء واستراتيجي، وبالاحرى اندايركت بلاير انتراكشن، بحيث ان انت تحاول تفيد روحك تسوي استراتيجيه تفوزك بنهايه اللعبه من غير ما يكون الاوبجيكتيف مالك انك تضر اللي معك او يصير ضحك عندنا باللعبه. في الاذر هاند الالعاب الامريكيه بالسابق بلشوا بالبارتي جيمز، اللاك بيست جيمز، التريفيا جيمز. اليورو جيمز لما بلشوا بالشيء هذا صار عندنا الحين كذلك في العاب مصممين امريكان وغيرهم يسوون كذلك النوعيه هذه من الالعاب اللي فيها ذكاء واستراتيجي. فاحنا اكثر الالعاب اللي راح نشوفها عندنا بالمعرض اليورو جيمز، وحتى لو كانت العاب فاميلي او خلينا نقول بارتي جيمز راح يكون فيها طابع الذكاء والاستراتيجيه الخفيفه والحبكه هذه الحلوه. وكذلك اللي يميز اليورو جيمز ان هي العاب في لها فيزيكال كومبوننتس وبورد وايد حلو. الكومبوننتس تكون 3 دي، انت تعرف شلون تحركها، منها وركر بليسمنت، منها اريا كنترول، منها ريسورس تحاول انت تاخذها كانكم او انت تصرفها عشان تفعل ابيلتيز وكومبوز معينه عندك. ودائما الاستديوهات الكبيره او الالعاب الصغيره تبي تدش على ماركت جديد تحرص ان هي تيجي تشارك هني في سبيل ميسه. ليش؟ لان انت هني عندك وايد شغلات، منها تيستنج جروبز، عندك ديزاينرز، عندك استديوز مشهوره، عندك كذلك معربين او خلينا نقول لوكال ببلشرز حق الالعاب، بحيث ان انت تعرض عليهم لعبتك يترجمونها لك حق اللغه مالت الماركت مالهم او الماركت الثاني او الماركت مالك اللي انت تبيه، كذي يصير انت عندك اكسس على مستوى عالمي، وهذا الشيء راح يزيد من مبيعاتك. معلومه حلوه، يقولون ان الالعاب اللي تيجي تنعرض هني وتفوز بجوائز البست جيم بالكاتيجوريز مالتهم، وكذلك في الجيرمان اووردز اللي هي سبيل دي جاهرس اوورد، مبيعاتها تزيد مو من 10,000 لعبه ل 20 مليون لعبه، بس عشان هم يشاركون عندنا هني بالمانيا يفوزون بالجوائز اللي عندهم. ففرصه حلوه حق الكل انه يجي يشوف الالعاب، وفرصه حلوه كذلك حق الكل انه يعرض الالعاب مالته ويفوز بالجوائز او على الاقل يترشح لها ويصير عنده صيت على مستوى العالم. وفرصه حلوه كذلك حقنا احنا نجرب معاهم العاب هني قبل لا تنزل بالكيك ستارتر بعد سنه او سنتين، نعطيهم فيدباك وهم يشرحون لنا وياخذون براينا كذلك. هذا شيء وايد حلو، اكسبيرينس حلوه. وانا شخصيا هذه اول مشاركه لي في سبيل ميسه سنه 21، وان شاء الله راح تكون لنا مشاركات قادمه في السنين الجايه. خليكم ويانا ناخذ لنا جوله سريعه داخل ونسوي كم مقابله مع الموجودين. السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
العافية.
الله يعافيك يا أخي.
معنا اخونا
عبد الرحمن الحميد.
من وين؟
من قطر.
والله ونعم. اخونا
اخوك احمد المالكي من قطر.
ونعم والله.
الله ينعم حالك.
طبعا انا ابو عزوز من الكويت، بس جدا جدا انا اليوم سعيد لاني بسبيل ميسه بالمانيا لقيت شباب قطريين وشنو مسوين لعبه وجايبينها يعرضونها هني بالمعرض. سولفوا لنا عن لعبتكم شباب، شنو اسم اللعبه؟
اسم اللعبة مدير كبير. هذه صنع بارتي جيم، لان انا اشوفها حتى يعني يوم قاعد نفكر في اللعبة في البداية يعني حق الخليج، العاب البارتي جيم هي اشوفها اللي مناسبة جدا حق منطقتنا. لنا. اتوقع هاي الالعاب المعقده اللي فيها تو ماني بيسز وكذا كذا كذا جدا قليله، وناس معينه هي اللي تلعبها. لكن اذا بتروح شويه اكبر تعلم الناس على الكوميونتي هذه، لازم تروح على العاب شويه بارتي جيم.
صح.
نشوف مثل بعد هاي الالعاب تعتمد على الاقناع والسوالف، تقدر تسولف تقدر تقنعها. انا المدير الكبير على الكلام يعني.
وفيها ضحك طبعا.
وفيها
ضحك. اي
ما شاء الله. اللعبه متى ايش كثر صار لها نازله؟
النسخه العربيه الله يسلمك من سنه 2018 دشنتها، شاركت فيها في معارض والحمد لله يعني بعت فيها كميه. هل ربحت فيها؟ اي طبعا ربحت فيها وغطيت التكاليف هذه كلها. في هالفتره يوم دشينا على فتره الكوفيد وكذا اشتغلنا على النسخه الانجليزيه، بحيث انه يعني التارجت ماركت مالي كان الاكسبات، لان احنا ما شاء الله عندنا اجانب وايد يبوا يلعبون بعد نفس الالعاب اللي احنا نلعبها.
الحركه هذه جدا حلوه. انا اشوفها هنا انه مثلا هذا انتيك ديلر بالانجليزي.
ايوه.
بس تحت انتم كاتبين انجليزي معرب تاجر تحف، تحاولون تكسبون الفئه الاكسبات هذه.
بالضبط.
لان تعلمونهم اللغه الخليجيه مالتنا.
بالضبط.
صراحه انا اهنيكم على الحركه.
الغتره والعقاب والعلم
هذا كله من عاداتنا وتقاليدنا.
يعرفون بعض العادات والتقاليد. العبايه ليش خرمه حاطين لها مثلا عبايه، يعني في بعد اهداف كثيره من اللعبه.
اهم كارت الوظائف اللي هو بيج بوس ريال، في بيج بوس مره.
زين، وشنو الخطوه الجريئه ما شاء الله اللي خلتكم تشاركون باسم؟
مدير كبير النسخه العربيه هذه يوم دشنته في كوفي شوب، جيت مثل ما تقول للناس يوم كنت انا اسوي هذه قلت بسوي نفس الحركه يعني، بس يمكن خطوه شويه اكبر، غير ان كوفي شوب مثلا في معرض انا اسويه ولا معرض موجود في الدوحه وكذا، يعني الكورونا فايروس نفسه خلتنا شويه نتعطل في الامور. فشوي قلت لي شلون خليني ادشنها في معرض يعني معروف شويه اكبر. فشفت واحده من المعارض اللي هي سبيل في المانيا اقرب لنا ونقدر ندشها، وفتره جدا ممتازه اللي هو شهر 10 وندشن اللعبه هناك نعرضها للبيع او تو شو كيس يعني تو ايفريبادي.
زين ان شاء الله هل التارجت انه يشترونها منكم دايركت ولا تعطونها موزعين داخل المانيا واوروبا؟
حاليا ابيعها في قطر والخليج، بعدين ان شاء الله نطمح على العالميه نبيعها في اوروبا وكل شيء.
برافو عليكم.
كان في تحديات بس الحمد لله قدرنا ان احنا نوصل.
اكيد وانتم اليوم موجودين هنا، هذا فضل الله سبحانه وتعالى ثم جهودكم.
الحمد لله.
نهنيكم والله، عسى الله يوفقكم ان شاء الله. ان شاء الله نشوف العاب اكثر بالمستقبل.
اكيد. وشيء ثاني ترى اللعبه يعني خاطبت فيها هاي بورد جيم جيك، واللعبه سجلوها هناك، جوا لي هني وعرضت لهم اللعبه ولعبت معهم اللعبه، صورت معهم، استانسوا على اللعبه، قالوا والله حلو انه يعني نفس ما قلت لعبه عربيه رسومات عربيه فيها يعني من هالثقافه، واحنا قاعد نتعلم ونشوف شيء جديد منكم من الخليج ومن قطر يعني.
انا حتى قاعد اشوف الناس اللي قاعد تمر بشوي الف وجه قاعد يطالعونا ودهم يجون يسالون.
ودهم
شيء هديه بسيطه.
جزاكم الله خير.
تستاهل.
هذه النسخه العربيه
تكون البيج بوس عاد انت
مع استيكرات. هذه النسخه الانجليزيه ستيكر ثاني بعد معها.
حبيبي يعطيكم العافيه، بالتوفيق ان شاء الله.
ان شاء الله.
فرصه سعيده. يعطيكم العافيه.
ما قصرت. الله يحييك. الله يسلمك.
يعطيك العافيه.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. What's your name?
My name's Giannis.
From which publisher?
Brain Games Publishing.
You guys published High School?
We did. And High School 2 as well.
Awesome. And I really have a big surprise for you. The huge High School in the back. So can you tell us about this game?
So this is called Iron Forest. This is coming to Kickstarter next year, February. And this is a sequel of sorts to High School, which takes that game to the next level, as you can see.
Yeah.
So in this game, there's team versus team playing. So 2 to 4 players can play. So 2 per team maximum. And each team has their own unique goal. So with the game, there will come 7 different scenarios, and each of those scenarios is like a separate mini game. So you basically get 7 games in one. Each scenario takes around 40 minutes to play, and depending on the team, they have their own different goals to accomplish. Okay. And the game works like this. Each team has their own activation deck. You flip a card open, or if you're on the bottom, you can launch it up. So instead of flicking, I would take it out of the box.
You have to launch it up.
Yeah, and I would...
So
That's where I want it to go.
Without my hand.
Yeah.
So I assume you need to make sure it drops inside the box.
Yeah, and depending on the scenario, I either want to stay up there or go through the hole to collect something. So there's different scenarios, different ways. Some scenarios use dice where you have to flick into them and flick those. Sometimes you have to, just like High School, collect these. You could also use different abilities. Each team has their own abilities that you can use and gain extra like advantages. And you can also damage the other mechas. If you hit the other mecha, it gets damaged.
Okay.
And then that also helps because you're stalling the other team and gaining advantage for yourself.
So it goes 2 versus 2?
It's either 2 versus 2, 1 versus 1, or 1 versus 2. So you can play 2 to 4, any number.
Okay.
Yeah.
And once you get inside, do you get to flick them, same as high school, or all the mechanics is one shot?
Yeah, you just basic is just like high school. On my turn, I will just flick it,
Okay.
and then the next player will go. But I just to get up here, the only way is using this.
Awesome.
So if it's my turn, instead of flicking, if I need to go up there, I would put it in here and just try to do that.
Oh.
Again, depending on the scenario, it either was good or bad.
Oh yeah, okay. So sometimes you need to stay on the top.
Yeah. Sometimes you need to stay on
Yeah,
the top.
sounds cool. And you said the Kickstarter will come out in February.
Yeah, February 8th, 2022. Still working on it. This is all prototype, except the art. Everything else is still prototype. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it goes smoothly. We're having a lot of good feedbacks from here. So we're very enthusiastic about it. So, but yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was a pleasure. Konnichiwa.
こんにちは。
Watachi bo Azuz.
私はあやこです。
Nice to meet you. We are here Studio Mondi in Munich, correct?
Yeah.
And you are a Japanese studio. How many years you are in the business?
One and a half.
Ah, nice. And what new games you have today?
We have 2 games.
Mon and the Silk Road. Yeah, Silk Road looks nice. I'm interested in getting Silk Road. Kawaii kids.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Arigato. Arigato gozaimasu.
ありがとうございます。
عدل الديزاينر يوقع العابنا. الحين احنا عندنا اكبر معرض في سبيل ميسا 2021 اللي هم بيجاسز يعتبرون هم الراعي البلاتينيوم، السبونسر بلاتينيوم، الراعي الرسمي حق المعرض. من كثر ما هم حيل قوايه، اذا ما كانوا هم سبونسر ما حد راح يقدر يسوي المؤتمر هالسنه هذه. والحين ابو عزوز جايب لكم مواصله راح ندش داخل نشوف العاب السنه الجايه. حياكم. هني طبعا عندنا العاب نازله اخر فتره، وهني عندنا العاب اون ديسبلاي حق مدراء الشركه وحق الببلشرز كذلك. لما يجون الببلشرز يشوفون الالعاب هذه، شركه بيجاسز راح تشرحها لهم، والببلشرز كل واحد حسب الريجن اللي هو يشتغل فيه راح يعرض عليهم عرض سعر عشان يترجمها حقهم ياخذ الالعاب، سواء بيترجمها بالعربي، بالانجليزي، بالهولندي، الالماني او اي لغه ثانيه. Hi Katya.
Hi.
So now Katya will take us through their new games. Some of these games will be released next year and some other games they are going to be released later this year. So Katya, can you please tell us about Fairstrat?
There are rats living in the junkyard. They love to read comics and they read that the moon is made out of cheese. So they want to build a rocket and they would like to use resources they find in the junkyard, and they go this track to collect the item. At the beginning you have 2 rats starting here and you can move those rats. Either you take 1 rat and go 1 to 5 steps, which is described here, or you take your 2 rats and move 3 steps. But
Okay.
in this case, they have to end on the same colored field.
Ah, okay. That's why you have different colors.
Yes.
Okay. And suppose you hit in different color than your rat, do you pay a resource?
No, you are not allowed to end.
Ah, you're not allowed to end, so you have to
Yes.
calculate your steps.
Yes. So the next step is that you collect the resources you ended up, and you collect them on your own to build parts of the rocket
To go
get,
to the moon.
victory points. But this is the aim of the game, to get the most victory points.
Yeah.
And there are many ways to receive victory points: by building parts of the rocket,
Yeah.
or by bringing your rat as fast as possible to the top to become a ratonaut. So the
Rattlenut, I like that.
ratonaut, yes. Or for example, collecting cheese, so you can get victory points here. Also, there are some shops. There are little creatures living in the junkyard where you can buy additional items which brings you abilities or advantages.
Okay.
Also, there's a track below which brings you extra rats to the game, or some comic books with special powers or extra victory points.
Okay, sounds like a fun game.
Yes.
And it's gonna be on Kickstarter or directly to retail?
Directly into retail.
Awesome, awesome. Hi Katya, can you tell us more about yourself and your role in Pegasus?
I work in the localization team from Pegasus Spiele, and we are offering our games, which we have here, which we will be releasing next year, to our partners worldwide. We send them offers, we show them the game, we send them games to play test, and then they come back to us, and if they're interested, they make an offer, they get the files to translate the game, and then the game comes into production and will be sent to the countries for the players there.
Awesome, Katya. In your career so far, have you ever managed to make deals with the publishers in the Arab region?
We have Arabic partners, yes. Do you want to know the partners we have?
Yeah, if you can.
Well, there's, for example, there's Superheated Neurons.
Yes, I know Superheated Neurons. They are my friends. Michelle
Correct,
is there.
yes. He was there today to talk about
Oh,
our
really?
games.
Yeah, Michelle. I'll call him after this meeting. All right, thank you so much, Katya. You've been very fantastic with us today. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Hola, Raúl.
Hola,
¿Cómo estás?
muy bien.
My name is Saud. I'm from Kuwait, from Duania Night channel. Can you tell me what other games you have, or this is your first game?
Well, this is my first Euro game. I have another game published a couple of years ago.
Okay.
It is called 4 Pints, Please, and it's about an English pub, and it's a party game. It's a very funny game.
So, what made you jump from party games to Euro games?
I like all kind of games. So I was designing Messina for 5 years. I was working in Messina and in the other party game at the same time, and others kind of games. And I work all kind of games
Nice.
at the same time.
Nice. When you design a new game, what is your thought process? Do you check the competition in the market, or you try to modify an existing game, or how you come up with the design?
Try to design what I like.
What you like?
And I like history.
Okay.
History and, some cultures or some type of things, like, for example, beer. It's not only drinking beer, but knowing the types of beers, and that's why I made the Pints, Please.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
and because I like history, I made Messina. And I like very much history, and I like very much historical games. Relates shows you a chapter, an important period of history, like the Black Plague in the Middle Ages, for example, in Messina.
Okay.
And I think there are a lot of games about, for example, the World War II or World War One. A lot of important chapters of history. But there was few games, almost known games about the Black Plague. There are Ratus and there are some others, but
Few only. Few only. You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So Messina is a city in Spain, or
No, Messina is a city in Sicily, in Italy.
Sicily in Italy, and they
Yeah.
were affected by the Black Plague.
It was the first city in Western Europe where the Black Plague came into.
So when you design the game, you as a designer, as a game designer, do you take
Yeah.
care of the design of the box, the insert, the components, or you just design the idea and the mechanics, and someone else in the publisher will take care?
Well, that's a good question. I think about everything. My first idea is about the theme, then the mechanics, and I think about the components also. But later, maybe the publisher can change all those components.
Yeah, because some people they like to do sleeving, for example.
Yeah.
It will take space from the box.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't
Yeah.
fit. Then they feel upset.
There are things that the publisher
They should
choose.
consider and-
Choose,
Yeah.
not me. But
Yeah.
I like to think about all the components.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. For me, I don't like sleeving. I like the component to feel it and touch it.
I
But-
agree.
Yeah,
I
but
agree. Me
you
too.
agree?
Me
That's
too.
good. That's
Me
good.
too.
But a lot of my friends, they like sleeving. They want the protection, extra protection. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think games are for playing,
Yes.
not for
storing.
Yeah, in a museum. no, it's
No,
for
no, you have to
playing.
play and you have to
Yeah,
consume the
yeah,
game. Yeah, that's good. That's good. So, do you have experience in Spiel Messe? Do you come here often, or this is your first time?
No, this is my first time in.
This is my first time as well.
in Essen.
How you like it so far?
Yeah, very much. People say it's a little empty
I don't think so.
comparing with
Comparing to
other years. For me, I'm not comparing because it's my first time,
Exactly.
and I think it's full.
Exactly. Yeah. Especially with after the pandemic now.
Yeah.
It's really good to see the physical interaction and the testing groups with all the companies.
That's the best part of the the fair.
And did you expect your Messina copies to sell out fast?
It's sell out. It was almost sell out in the first day.
Yeah.
And now it's sold out.
Everybody's having high expectation for this game. So thank you so much. Muchas gracias for your time.
Muchas gracias a ti.
Nice to meet you.
Nice
You
to
support
meet you.
Cádiz, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I support Real Madrid.
Yeah. Cádiz. Thank you.
Thank you. Adios. Thank you. All right, now we have David, the designer of Hamlet. Hi, David. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
David, can you tell us about your new project?
So Hamlet is a village building game. The dream that I've always had was to make a village builder that is very organic, and because most village builders that I played always had like a tableau building mechanic, or all the tiles were all the same that you're building, and it doesn't really makes you feel like you're building a village, So what I wanted to make is a game that really distills that feeling of a growing, sort of organically growing village, and the movement of the villagers within that village, and the movement of resources in that village. So it's a lot of it is made with these tiles that are all from different shapes, and they connect with each other in really interesting ways. And I think that's a big differentiation from other village builders out there.
I like the fact that you started with the word dream. So it's looked like you've been thinking about this game for a while, and finally you managed to pull it off.
I think so, yeah. I've been thinking about this game since I finished Petrichor, I think, so around 4 or 5 years. Yeah. I've prototyped around 4 or 5 different versions of a village builder that manages to pull that feeling off, and this is the one that eventually worked. I tried even type of roll and write mechanics. I tried different things with 3D puzzles and kind of Tetris shapes forming together and building in 3D space. There was quite a few different games that I made, but this is the one I think that really gets that feeling right, and so this is the one that we will publish.
Yeah, and I've read a little bit about the game, and it looks like as you start with an abstract, and then you can build your village as much as you want. There's no limit, there's no time limit. Is that correct?
There is no time limit, but there is 3 ages that you play through, and the game ends when either all of the tiles are gone, or if the church is finished building, the temple is finished building. In this case, it's kind of medieval, so it's a church.
All right, can you take us through a couple of rounds so that we can see the mechanics and how the tableau is built?
So the game is split into 2 phases. In the first phase, there's a buy phase, where we
Let's go through a couple of rounds to see the mechanics of the game.
So the game is split into 2 rounds, right? Into 2 phases, that is. Yeah. In the first phase, we're buying tiles that come out, right, from the bag. So we start from the first age and we lay them out here, choosing which one to buy, right? The one to the right is the one that costs the most, 3 gold, and each one of them gets a little bit cheaper as you go down here, right? The cool mechanic about this is that the person who spends the most will be the person who will go first when we come to the play phase. So if I were to show you, like, let's say red chooses to go here, yellow chooses to buy this tile, and green chooses to buy this tile. We place them back here, and now red will play first, then green, then yellow, and then we will buy in the opposite direction. So then yellow will buy a new tile in the next buy phase.
Yeah.
The yellow will buy first, then green, then red, and then we will move them back down, and we play in that order. So the cycle goes round, right?
And each time you draw tiles from the bag?
Yes, each time you replenish the tiles from the bag, they slide down to here, and if there's a tile here that's still there, you remove it.
You discard it, okay.
Now, after that, we move on to the board, and then you have we take a turn each, and we can do one of 2 things. One thing being, let's say that I bought the stonemason, yeah? One thing being building a building that I have purchased, right? And building the building, each tile has a building cost here, and I can place it anywhere that I want. There's some placement rules. There are 3 different types of edges on each tile. There's mountains, there's roads, and there's also forest edges. Yeah. Right? You always place them that all of the edges match.
Oh,
right?
okay. You have to match. Okay.
You have to match. Although there are fences like this one, and these can touch anything.
Can touch anything, yeah.
So let's say I want to build the stonemason. So that's one thing that I can do, building the stonemason and paying the resources on here. One important thing about Hamlet is that all the resources that you make stay on the board. They are not owned by you. You make resources for everyone to use.
Okay.
So if I place this here, I will need 2 wood and 2 wheat. Right now there's only 1 wood and 1 wheat on the board, so I cannot build this tile, right? But that's one thing.
Yeah.
Another thing that I can do is use my send my workers to work. I start only with 1 villager and I can send them to work. Right now the options that I have available is to send them to work to the woodcutter or to the farm or to the starting mine. Walking to these different places doesn't cost money as long as you are on the road. If you have to, let's say the starting mine was the stonemason was here. If I have to walk to the stonemason and I need to cross a mountain range or a forest,
You have to pay.
I have to pay one piece of gold for each border that I cross.
For each border, okay.
Yeah. Let's say that this red meeple is here, this red villager, he wants to work at the mine, and he comes here to the mine, he mines ore, right? So you take 2 more ore because there's already 1 here, so you need to fill it up to the top. You make 1 gold for each ore that you placed, and then you make one point because you worked, right? And that's it. Now that ore is available for someone else to build.
Okay.
Now let's say that it's your turn and you decided that you would like to build this stonemason. Now you can place it here, and there is enough ore for you to build it.
Yeah.
So to do that you would need to place it down and you would need to ask for delivery again. In this case they are close by, but you're only crossing 1 border, so these 2 cost 1 to bring. It's for the delivery.
It's for the delivery, not for the stone. Yeah.
Exactly. So that costs 1 gold to make it, and you can make the stonemason. And you need to also deliver the wheat. Let's assume that there was 2 wheat, costs nothing until it comes here because it's on the same road.
Yeah, and a different border.
Then you have to
pay.
Exactly. So those are the 2 things you can do. You can either build or walk and do
And
things.
how do you generate gold?
So gold is generated either by working in certain tiles. For instance, here, if I were to work here, I make 1 gold for each wheat that I generate, right? Other ways to generate gold is by refining resources. So in this case, the stonemason is a different type of tile than the farm. The farm is a producer, it produces raw materials, whilst the stonemason is refining those raw materials into a better version of that. So this refines the ore that we get from the mine into a brick, right? So once I have that brick, then I've created it, I can place my token here. And that shows that I, the red player, have a brick here and I own it.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Now, when someone else uses that brick, it could be me or anyone else.
You get gold.
You get money and gold. Points and gold.
Points and gold. Okay.
Right? And that's it. The board is used for developing your kind of. It's like a development.
Yeah. You can generate more workers.
You can generate more workers by completing the objectives that are randomly chosen at the beginning of the game. Or you can focus on being a supplier or a patron. The leader track is getting more workers. So you're getting more influence, and so people work for you more. The supplier is about generating as many different resources for the village as possible. And each one that you do, you remove this token and use it there, and you create more points that you will score at the end of the game. And the patron is for tiles like this. So there are a set of tiles that we call landmarks. And these are tiles that make the village prettier or not more nice to look at, right? So like a woodland, imagine a monument, imagine a fountain, right? These things, when you build them, you will place a token on them from the flag track, and the more you build, the more points you will score, right, at the end of the game.
Cool. Yeah, sounds fun. Do you think participating in Spiel Messe gives you a good feedback for you to further develop your games?
Absolutely.
Have you sensed this in your previous games?
I'll be honest with you, Hamlet is one of the first prototypes that we're demoing here at Essen. We've done a few before, but not so much that we're playing the whole game.
Okay.
The good thing that we're getting here is getting people playing the game. The game will come out probably on Kickstarter soon.
Yeah.
So there's exposure for the Kickstarter on November 9th, but also the game will come out next year. So people will have seen the game prior, and then they will know what it is, and the more exposure that we can get. Also for us, we get people playing the game and getting visual feedback. You know, watching people play your game is really important in terms of seeing how people interact with the different things in the game, with the different types of woods that you're using, or the markers that you're using, or the art, and it helps us find mistakes that we may have in the prototype.
Yeah, and visually I think the art is really nice, and I really like how you can make a move, but also at the same time you will benefit someone else. So you have to be calculating what kind of resources and what kind of border tiles you are placing.
You're always watching what other people have bought.
You have to watch. Thank you so much, David, and looking forward to your Kickstarter, and hopefully see your games on the shelf soon.
Thank you very much.
ثانك يو. وكذي خلصنا من المعرض اليوم اخر يوم، وايد استمتعنا. التجربه هذه اول مره وان شاء الله ما راح تكون اخر مره، وعلى قولتهم بالالماني مثل ما علموني في الشباس يعني استمتع، وسي يو نكست يير ان شاء الله.